Hello, I'm Megan Anderson. Thank you for joining us today for our review of Desktop Web Access. Today we will cover all that you need to know about Desktop Web Access so that you can use it with ease. We will begin by discussing concepts in a PowerPoint presentation, and then move on to an implementation of Desktop Web Access and show you how it works. Just as a review, we have a variety of software suite components. First, we have the desktop, which has all of the administrator activities and also serves as the primary distribution point for documents. We've emulated several of the document distribution concepts into Desktop Web Access, which is our browser-based option for consumers and participants. And for those of you that are using SharePoint, we have Suite Connect for SharePoint, which mimics a large amount of the functionality for Desktop Web Access. Document Manager is the primary portal for adding documents that have not been created in our software modules. We have a set of authoring tools that specialize in creating policies, procedures, and instructions for creating those top 3 tiers of conformance documents in an ISO 9001-based system. We also have a Quality Planner module for creating and modifying all of those APQP and PPAP project documents. In our original software, SPC, there are 3 different SPC modules, all of which can help you with data collection and analysis. We have an Audit Manager module that allows you to schedule audits, create audit checklists in advance, and then perform the audit and record any audit findings. If any nonconformance is found, it automatically pushes the information over to our Corrective Action module. Also in Corrective Action, you can record any nonconformances, causes, and resolutions, as well as generate true preventive actions. We have a notification service called Suite Notify, which integrates with your email server so that notifications also get emailed as well as be viewed via Suite Notify when you log in. We have Folio Manager, which is similar to Document Manager, except you can route multiple documents together in a package called a folio. Our focus today will be on Desktop Web Access. As a very customer-focused organization, all of our modules, besides SPC, have been developed based on customer requests, asking for help in other areas of their organizations. Our customers ask for the ability to expand the availability of their document collection. Some also wanted a low-cost alternative to a desktop license, as they didn't see the need for everyone to have the functionality that desktop has, but still needed to view or complete routes on documents. Other customers wanted to have a browser-based product version of desktop so that they can be on the shop floor and view their documents easily. It would also help their IT from spending as much maintenance time. With Desktop Web Access, we fulfill all of these wants and desires. In terms of requirements for Desktop Web Access, you'll need the following: a desktop suite system already in place, as DWA gets all of its information from the suite. If you want to use Desktop Web Access to have people view training documents, you'll also need to have Training Manager as a part of your suite. You also need a server for Desktop Web Access to reside upon. In terms of SQL servers, we support anything 2008 and newer. Here are a handful of benefits that document consumers receive from utilizing Desktop Web Access in their daily work. They can access via browser, which means they can access their documents from any workstation, or their phone, or their tablet. Desktop Web Access has the standard desktop functionality, so they can search for documents, use binders, view and print documents, all while not having to be trained on a whole new system. There's new features and ways to find your documents, like implementing filters, sorting, and grouping. It helps add even more efficiency into your work. We will show how to use these filters, etc. in the next section. Document producers get to have all the benefits that the consumers did, but they get a little extra. They also have the ability to provide comments and recommendations for documents routed to them, perform document reviews, as well as complete document routes and training, all from their browser. Almost all of the desktop functionality is available to them, minus administrative tasks. Desktop Web Access has a similar interface structure to its older sibling Suite Desktop. From looking at it at first glance, there is a left navigational bar or tree, if you'd like to think of it that way, to help you maneuver from place to place. and there is the right-hand side of the screen which populates with documents. If you click on the document, it will open for you to view in Adobe Reader or whatever reader your internet uses. The following few slides discuss other concepts that follow from Suite Desktop. Filtering documents allows you to filter within a binder by entering additional information, such as a word or phrase, in the box directly underneath the column header. Having the search feature available is quite handy as well. You can search within a document title, document number, document description, release description, or a word or phrase using the contain or wildcard expression search method. Binders can be utilized in Desktop Web Access as well. For review, there are 3 types of binders: specific, configurable, and combination binders. All 3 work in Desktop Web Access as they do in Suite Desktop. You select a binder from the list, and then you are presented with a list of documents that you've been granted access to for current approved documents. Documents that have not been approved will not be available in any binder. Then there's grouping. Grouping allows you to essentially group together like items. For example, if you want to group the release date, the documents will be grouped together by release date and then sort by the selected sort column. Just like there has been plenty of benefits for document consumers and participants, there are plenty for document administrators as well. Even with having a browser-based version of the software, document administrators can still maintain document control. All document access rules from Suite Desktop are enforced on DWA. Only current approved revisions of the documents are viewable. User login is required for DWA besides Desktop Anonymous, which you don't have to enter a username or password. DWA offers document administrators an easier way to distribute documents. As I just mentioned, there is the Anonymous license, which doesn't require a username or password. This Anonymous license allows consumers to view, print, and use documents with a default access other than none, without logging in. Document administrators can also configure default binders for default access viewing. Document administrators can also better control paper copies. Print and copy access granted in each document's workspace is still enforced in Desktop Web Access. In order to print or copy a document, you must use the action column link, as seen here on the left side, for the desired action. If you do not have the access to print or copy, then the link will not be present. An option to have a watermark on the paper copy is available, shown here on the right side of the slide, which would say the current revision, release date, who it was printed by, and the date it was printed. Then you can also publish the release history at the end of the document. We give plenty of options to help our customers keep their documents in check. I believe that covers the basic concepts of what Desktop Web Access brings to the table. I will now hand this over to my colleague Brad Anderson, who will show you a live version of Desktop Web Access.
So we're in a live demonstration of the software here for Desktop Web Access, and I'm presented with the URL screen here. This URL address that's up here in the address bar, this will be provided to you by your IT group or your administrators. They'll provide you with the URL address for your internal Desktop Web Access installation. I'm going to log on as a named user. There are 3 different types of licenses available. There are participant level licenses. Participant level licenses are for those type of individuals or users that are going to be involved in more activities than just viewing documents. And they will have a license assigned to them, so they would be able to access the system at any point in time. The consumer licenses are for those individuals that need to be able to access the system at any point in time. In other words, they're not going to be blocked from entering the system because there's no licenses available, which can sometimes happen in an anonymous license situation. With anonymous licenses, if you have 20 anonymous licenses, you can have 20 different users of anybody in the system at a time. And once the 21st person tries to log on, they'll receive a polite message that indicates that no other licenses are available for consumption right now, and to check back in a little bit. Consumer license holders are able to complete training activities even though they are listed only as a consumer type license. We're going to be logging in as a named user here that's at the participant level. In fact, Duck is our quality manager, so he is acting in a participant capacity, and we're going to log on as such. When you are logging in as a named user, your preferences in desktop will carry over, such as your favorites binders and any other preferences that you have set that are applicable in desktop web access. You'll notice that this application follows a very similar approach that we have in all of our other modules, where we have a left-hand navigational tree, and whatever is highlighted on the left will have a work area on the right. In the binders area, that's where we're going to start here. The entire list of binders that are available in desktop is going to automatically be available in desktop web access unless binders are specifically blocked by an administrator. Typically, most organizations want to have all of their binders that are available in desktop also available in desktop web access. So by default, that is the case. To open a binder, you highlight the binder, click the open button, and then you are presented a list of documents from that particular binder. There are 3 different types of binders to choose from. There are specific binders, which all of your filtering selections are already predetermined. There are configurable binder, where none of the filtering options to further narrow your search are selected. And then there's a combination type binder, which is the 3rd type. And in combination binders, you have some parameters that are established for you to further narrow your search, and others are not. We're going to take a look at the All Documents binder here, and you can see you can have many pages of documents that show up in a binder. In fact, I've got 28 pages of documents here that show up in this binder. By default, there are going to be 25 documents that are going to show up on a page here. In order to view a document, it's as simple as clicking on the document title, and then it's going to be presenting you with the individual document. Notice that print control does carry over. Even though we're viewing this in a PDF viewer, the print icon is grayed out so that we cannot print this document if print is restricted. You'll notice that if you do need to print a document, printing takes place over here in the action column. If print access is enabled, then you can print it from there. Now, this document was created in Microsoft Word, and if I click in the document here, notice I can't even highlight it in the text. Even if I could highlight the text, I still couldn't change it, because you're not going to be able to edit anything in this application. You're still going to need to check out the document through Document Manager, providing you have access to do so, and then you're going to need to edit it through Document Manager, check it back in, go through the approval process, and then put it back into the system. And again, it really doesn't matter what type of documents that you're viewing. Here's a fuel pump drawing created in Autodesk, and we're still viewing it through the Office viewer. All of the documents, by default, we're going to start off by creating them and viewing them as PDFs, regardless of their document type in the system, which also helps in not being able to edit the documents. It is possible to add in additional document types where you may be interested in viewing, say, for example, videos. You can't view a video through a PDF viewer. So if there are other document types that you need special dispensation for, then let us know, and we can walk you through the process of setting those up. It is possible to configure other document types to be utilized within the system that do not, or that are not PDFs. When you're looking at document titles, you'll notice that there is still a plus sign in front of these, just like there is in desktop, although it has a different meaning here. If I expand the document area by clicking on the plus sign in front of the document, you'll notice that many of the document and revision properties are then displayed for you, just as you would if you were looking at the properties in desktop. So you can see document properties, you can see revision level properties, you can see document access, how the document is indexed, you can see related and related to documents all through expanding the document title at the plus sign. Let's take a look at another binder here. Scroll back up here and notice that once you have viewed a binder, it stays under the binder list here. We're going to go in and we're going to look at our level 2 procedures binder. So I highlight the binder, click open. This is an example of a combination binder, and this is where at least one of the items is selected and others are available for you to select from to further narrow your search. If I just go ahead and apply the filter as is, then I'm going to be presented with all of the documents that I have access to that have gone through the approval process and match the indexing criteria of the filter, just as it does in desktop. To view a procedure, I click on a procedure title, just as any document title in the system. It is going to render the view and bring it up as a PDF image. Remember, you're still viewing this as a PDF. There are some additional features available in Desktop Web Access that are not available in the desktop, such as the ability to change the columns around. The order of the columns is not something you could change in desktop, but you can in Desktop Web Access. So some organizations are more document number oriented. So if you'd rather have the first column to be the number or any of the columns to be reordered, just move them around to your heart's content. They'll stay that way if you're a named user. If you're an anonymous user, you're going to be at the mercy of the previous user that logged into the system. The sorting is available in desktop as well. For example, right now we're sorting by title. If I want to reverse the sort, I click on the header again and you can see that little arrow change. So now we're viewing it in an ascending order instead of a descending order. All right, I click it again and it's reversed. Here is the filtering area. So if you wish to do a little filtering, you have some filtering that you can do. Begins with, contains, doesn't contain, ends with, equals, or doesn't equal, if you want to refine your search that way. And last but not least is the grouping feature. If you would like to see your documents grouped by their release date, and then even further, you can group them by the released by. And when you expand, then you can see the release date. So these are all documents that were released in April 2019. And then under that, it's broken down who they were released by. And you can see the counts for each of them. All right, let's take a look at the quick search area here. Within quick search, you still have the ability, just as in desktop, to search on the document title within the document number, description, revision description, which is something that's new, or the release description. So the release, document, number, and title are ones that have been available in Desktop and Document Manager since their inception. The revision description is a new addition to Desktop Web Access. You also have the ability to determine whether or not you want to search on current documents only, or if you wish to include all documents, and whether you want your search to be case sensitive. And do you want your search method just to contain what it is that you list in the contain field, or do you want it to be a wildcard expression? And wildcard expression help is available by clicking on the question mark. So if we search on the document title here, and I'm just going to say 908 in the document title, I would expect to see document titles that all have 908 somewhere in the title. And as a result, I get 16 documents, and these all look like APQP project documents that all have 908 somewhere in the title. Recently released, that's the next item underneath Quick Search. You can still see all the documents that have been released within the past user-defined period of days. Once again, that's another one of those desktop preferences that carries over. And these documents have been released within that period of time. You have access to them, and they have gone through an approval process. So they are approved and released documents. And if you want to view one, you just click on the document title, and it will be rendered and then displayed on screen. And there we have it. As I mentioned, you can complete training activities and training and notified of training activities. You'll notice behind each one of these items here, there's a number in parentheses. That lets you know how many items you have in that particular area. So in training, we have one document here, and we have a document. Looks like a procedure based on the numbering scheme here. And I'm receiving a notification that I have a document that is due for self-training, meaning that I just need to view the document until I'm comfortable with it, and then I can complete that training activity. If I expand this out here, that's where the completion activities are. I could not complete this activity until I at least first view the document. So I'll go ahead and view the document. And this is a management representative and management review procedure. So then I would go through and review the document until I'm comfortable with the document. Once I feel as though I understand what's in the document, then I can complete the training activity. So I'll go ahead and expand that again. And now you can see complete training is now enabled. It was grayed out before. It is a two-step process, so I need to confirm that I wish to complete the training for this particular document. And then I can add any additional comments that I would like. And then I'll say OK. And now my training has been completed for this particular document. We can also complete document reviews through Desktop Web Access with a participant level license. In order to complete the notification, you would need to view the document and then complete the review. So we'll view our document. I'll go ahead and scroll through the document, make sure everything is still applicable and up to date, and then I can expand and I can complete the review. It asks you, how do you want to proceed? We want to complete the review activity, so do we want to make it a year from the date that the review was scheduled, or do we want to make it a year from today? I'll say today, and then I'll make a comment that no changes are needed at this time. Say OK, and our review activity is now complete. Again, if you are a participant, you can participate in document routes. We can see we've got 4 documents here that have been routed for approval. We can see who they're going to be returned to, other document properties, as well as participant information is all provided. In this case, this looks like it's probably a serial route where I'm the 3rd participant. The first 2 participants have already provided a disposition, and we're now ready to view this document. We can see when the route instruction as to what we're being asked to do. And we'll view the document. And we've been making this part for some time, so nothing has changed on this part. If I wanted to see the comments from other users, I could go ahead and expand their line, and I can see their route comments as well. If I wanted to go ahead and make my comment in advance, I could go ahead and hit the comment, or I can provide my recommendation of either approving or rejecting the document. If I go ahead and click on approve, it is again a 2-step process, and then I'm going to be prompted for my comment. If I'd already typed in a comment, it would be posted there, and then I could either edit it or add to it. And now that document has gone away out of my work. One less document to work on. Documents that have been returned for a final disposition will be displayed here as well for participant level users. These are documents that have been returned to the final approval authority after all of the route participants have provided a disposition. And we can go through and expand that, and we can see all of the route participants. We can see whether they approved or rejected the document. If we agree with the comments, then we can complete the route, and you'll be asked, do you want to approve or reject the document? Regardless of how many route participants are involved, if any of them have rejected the document, by default we will mark it rejected, but the final approval authority has the final say. So if they wish to approve it, even if everybody on the route has rejected it, it's going to be recorded that everybody on the route rejected it, but the final approval authority has gone ahead and approved the document. So there is accountability involved, and an approval route history record report will display all of that information. I'm going to go ahead and approve this, and I'll just say all positive feedback. Approved. And as soon as I select OK, here is where we would put in a summary of the changes. This is the initial release of this document, so there are no changes from the previous revision. And now that document title is out of my list, and I've gone from 8 to 7. The last option that you have available to you is the export function. If I go into a binder here, say if I go back to that level 2 procedures binder and I apply the filter here, and that lists all of my procedures that I have access to. If I wanted to export this, I could export this as a PDF. I could export it as a comma separated value, a CSV, as an Excel file, or as a rich text format file. If I do it as a PDF, what do you want to do? I'll say open it so you can see what it looks like, and there's the PDF of the information. 2 pages. So the formatting, there's more information on this than it can show in the current view. If I export it, I'll go ahead and close this. If I export it as an XLS file and open that, then it exports it in a comma separated value Excel file format. So every column has its own header, and all of the information appears within the column. And if I slide this to the right, you can see you get all of the information regardless of the formatting. So you can take advantage of that if you will, if you want to as well. Okay, well that about covers things here from a participant level. So we're back to the login screen, and we're going to log on as an anonymous user. And in order to log on as an anonymous user, you don't put a username and a password in. You just click the login. As long as you have anonymous licenses, then you will be logged in as an anonymous user. Now, an anonymous user is exactly that. You're not going to get any notifications, and you notice you can see over here on the left hand, you don't have any participant disposition type areas. You don't have any training areas because we don't know who you are, so we can't mark that you have done anything. You do have the ability to view any document that has at least the default level of access of view. So if we go into the same all documents binder and open up that, we have the same list of documents that we had available to us when we logged on as the anonymous user in desktop. So if we want to see that fuel pump drawing again, click on the fuel pump drawing document title, and there's our fuel pump drawing. So remember, anonymous users can see all documents with a default access level of view or higher. All right, well that's going to conclude our little product overview for desktop web access. This is a way that you can spread out the ability to view documents throughout your organization and make sure that only the current approved versions of documents are available without using shared folders out on a network somewhere. You can control revision control, and you can control who has print access to documents and make sure that people are viewing only the current approved versions of documents.
And that is all we have to show you about Desktop Web Access. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help.